Okay, so hello. We're going to talk about education and the global crisis, but today we're focusing on North America and more specifically on US to see what are the challenges that face US education, higher education, and how can we address them. So, looking forward to the session. Let's start with some facts. The education in general, especially higher education now, is in crisis. We have a perfect storm. On one side, we have the collapse of international student enrollment. We've seen a 15% decline, $7 billion revenues. I was speaking with one university recently. They lost 35% of their revenue overnight. This is a huge problem. They are struggling to make payroll, basically. The other thing is domestic demographic cliff. We see the graduates are fewer and fewer, and part of it that students question the value of a higher education today when they don't see a job emerging and the AI is looming, where there's a question if these jobs will even exist by the time they graduate. We also see AI disrupting the academic integrity. People are cheating using AI. 92% of students in a recent Harvard study said that they're using AI to do their homework. Now, that could be constructive, but that can be also disruptive, and we can talk more about that later. Research funding, that is their lifeline, to continue the activities, is now cut. And you see rising administration burdens that they can cover. So university are this inflection point. Survive or transform. So the devastation, I was just giving you that example from a California university where 35% lost in revenue predominantly because of international student decline. We see up to 150,000 fewer international students projected this year alone, 60,000 jobs at risk, and policy-driven disruption that fuel this long-term uncertainty. Compounding pressures. Now, as if that wasn't enough, we have what I just talked about, the demographic time bomb, because you see this decline in enrollment, the research funding freezes, and the generative AI making the text-based assessment, essentially essays, obsolete. If you pile on that the accreditation burden that's stealing thousands of faculty hours, you have a full-fledged issues. Now, of course, my colleagues in universities are trying to address this, right? They're not standing with crossed arms, but it's difficult to use Band-Aid for this problem. So for example, if you just cut programs, that undermines differentiation. If you raise tuition in a situation where you already drop enrollment, that may lead to a collapse. If you have faculty that don't get the research paper and research conducted, then the grading of the university is sinking. Now, you can do isolated solutions, but that's not going to be sufficient. That doesn't provide the transformation required. So I would say we are at the bifurcation line. It's a bit like the famous, you can take the red pill or the blue pill. On one side, we have decline, and on the other side, we have transformation. And in my opinion, and our opinion at E.ON, universities need to pivot from this defensive survival mode to a proactive transformation. And that's required response has to be well thought through, strategic, comprehensive, tech-enabled, and revenue positive. And universities need to act now to define this future of higher education. Now, how do we do that? So we looked at this from outcome-driven platform. So we have a number of components here. We have the skills pillars with sheet-proof immersive learning. For example, we have something called the Integrity Suite, where you actually have to do things, not write about things. So you have to demonstrate your skills in, for example, interaction with the patient if you're a doctor, or actually doing a solution in mechanical engineering. So simulation versus just writing about it. Income, entrepreneurship, and global investment. Another important aspect, we have a program called the Wealth Weaver that allows you to take ideas as entrepreneurs, which we think, by the way, the role of universities will be more and more to be entrepreneur producers. And step by step, in 7 steps, take them from idea to monetization. So there's a number of, this outcome-driven platform covers the skills required, the jobs, how to connect this with the existing job market, and also the income part. Now let's go to some discussion and ideas that we have and we are integrated currently. So I divide it in different tiers. Tier 1 is immediate revenue. That's things that you need to do today. So let me give you an example. We have something we call the corporate training generator. So you interact with corporate entities. We have a lot of corporate customers. So we put them in your region and we utilize the resources that you currently have lost, that today are underutilized, from students, foreign students, towards filling the gap that industry needs in the corporate world. Another thing is to optimize faculty usage. That doesn't mean that we lay off faculty, quite the opposite, but we take advantage and use their time more efficiently and lower the cost, and also restore academic integrity by implementing programs such as the Integrity Suite, such as EON Syllabus Sync, other programs that in this short presentation I'm not going to go through, but if you are interested, there's a whole seminar series around that. I encourage you to watch it on YouTube. And then space monetization. There are empty spaces now that are available. We suggest to put spatial artificial intelligence centers there and VR centers that provide a multi-use income generator. So this will bring quickly results. The second level is what I call strategic positioning. That may take 3 to 6 months. So launch the in-demand AI XR academic programs. Using Syllabus Sync, you can see what exactly is required now and in 5 years from now, and how can we address that. Build industry-aligned career pipelines with verified skills. And I have a whole presentation later that discuss how you can do this in different industry segments that are booming at the moment. So that's the paradox. While universities decline, the industry sector is exploding. We have the biggest renaissance now thanks to policy and others that we've had probably in 30 years. And then create a crisis-resilient hybrid infrastructure between what you have physically and what you have online in a way that actually works and has a proper cost structure. Now, the last part is what I call transformational growth. Here, we suggest to go a little bit bolder. What we did during COVID with extremely good results is to set up virtual campuses. So invite, for example, students that were studying from China and couldn't travel here because of COVID, and invite them in something we call virtual campuses, which is simulation-based environments where they can do physical interaction as they do in physical world by using an immersive situation. Now, we like to extend a virtual campus and offer it to you so you can still attract students that will have a hands-on experience interacting with real people, although they are not here. So visa-independent student enrollment. The other thing is research innovation ecosystem. We've been contributing to many academic institutions, both here in the US and Europe, to participate in funding, co-founding activities in areas that are supported by the government. And we are willing to co-invest with you to apply for those grants and secure that money for you. That's something we can do. It takes a little longer time, but it's very much possible. The third one is regional economic development hubs. This is things we are doing together. We call it a triangle. I have a whole seminar just around this triangle, how you can make sure that your university becomes a growth engine. So please don't despair. There's so much to do. Contact us today. We can talk more about this. If we just highlight a little bit more, this is the Virtual International Campus, the borderless enrollment that breaks the dependency on the international visas, the travel restriction, expand your reach to literally millions of global learners without leaving their home, and delivers accredited programs via immersive, extended reality, artificial intelligence learning environments, and overall creates this balanced long-term solution for recurring revenue streams that are not subject to geopolitical risk or political changes. That's what you need to do. That will strengthen your brand. Keep in mind, US represents 3-4% of human population. Is a vast demand, especially in the global south, for the knowledge that you possess. People dream about a degree with you, but they don't want just an online degree that is not inspiring, not engaging. They want the third way, something that has real immersion, where you have AI avatars 24/7 that know your curriculum and they can get a good diploma. The corporate training generator, the one I was talking about initially, that is to use underutilized campus facility to meet the urgent demands of industry and to generate significant revenues. The space monetization, to use current spaces to create multi-income revenue streams, to have a steady income, to enhance the visibility, to open the university for the community, to strengthen partnership with local industries. That's where E.ON can contribute. Keep in mind, we work a lot with industries. We know that they have high demands. And again, I dedicated a whole separate session just around this. And of course, the research and innovation ecosystem, how we help work together, apply for grants to address the big challenges that United States are facing and to get the funding inflow. And then to connect all the way to the career pipelines. I know universities' main focus is research, not to address the jobs of immediate tomorrow, but I think we need to rethink there and be more industry aligned, and also offer things that actually will get you a paid job. That's important today when so many graduate from US university can get a job. They can get even an entry-level job. That requires this triumvirate that I'm talking about, where the university is transformed to become a growth engine, an innovation hub, helping local economy and becoming the focal point. So my simple call to action for you is there is a lot of financial benefits you can derive from having this defensive approach to this proactive transformation approach. Contact me today. My email is dan@eonreality.com, and let's talk. You can also look me up. I'm both available on LinkedIn predominantly, and we would love to have this conversation as we progress. Thank you so much. Today we're going to talk about something I'm very excited about, because I call it the Workforce Innovation Triangle that we offer to academic institutions throughout the world. But today I'm going to focus a bit more in North America and United States. So if you look at our home here in US, we see a huge $2.4 trillion skills gap crisis. It's a paradox. While universities struggle to fill the gap of lost students, the industry literally screams for education and training and things they need in order to address the skills gap. So let me put some numbers. 87% of US companies today face critical skills shortages across many industries. And I'm going to address 8 of them in separate webinars. Now, if you look at, lift the hood, under the hood and look a little bit more, you have 2.1 million in unfilled roles in manufacturing. You have 1.9 million in healthcare. You have 1.3 million in energy, right? So 2.4 trillion in lost productivity and competitiveness every year. Because why? The traditional system is slow, it's costly, and it's limited in scale. So what we see now is actually a perfect storm. This triangle is that universities enrollment decline due to the student loss, underutilized assets and shrinking revenue, cutting cost, reducing the faculties, etc. Industry have a huge injection now with escalating demand, but very expensive old-fashioned training and education, and very large compliance risk because the industries that we are building now are quite risky. And then we have technology, but the technology needs to be scalable, needs to be adaptive, and needs to be immersive in order to work. And that's the opportunity for us, how we can turn this crisis into a collaborative innovation. So I have this golden triangle, right? The way I see it and what E.ON has initiated is what we call the innovation triangle solution. And it has the three stakeholders, the industry, the university, and E.ON with our spatial artificial intelligence. What does that mean? Is that we align the supply side, which is university colleges, with the demand side, which is industry, via enabling technology. That's the bridge and glues this together. And doing this, we solve actually a lot of problems at the same time. We create a scalable, sustainable model for workforce transformation. We improve the situation for university to stabilize them and put them on a growth trajectory. And we benefit ultimately the recipients, the workers, and the students. So let's look a little bit more in detail. So what's the benefit for universities specifically? They can monetize their underutilized labs, their classroom, their faculty expertise that today have big gaps as they lost 35% of the revenue from students and other reasons. Two, they can generate new revenues, typically up to between $150,000 to $500,000 per faculty annually by implementing these triangle methods that I will describe. They can also leverage between 2 and 10 million in federal grants and workforce partnerships by aligning what they do with the industry demands. And they can increase student employability, which is ultimately why students go to academic institutions, to get the prosperity and well-paid jobs, especially in this time of uncertainty. How about industry? Now, here's the fantastic news for them. They get verified competencies at a much lower cost that they will have to apply themselves. We talk about 60 to 70% lower cost by implementing a combination of linking with the academic institution and linking with the technologies that E.ON provides. They get 50 to 65% faster time to competency. They reduce downtime. They reduce errors. Compliance-ready documentation also comes with this for OSHA, for FDA, for DOT, etc. They get access to talent pipelines and advanced research. And finally, they get ongoing perpetual talent pipelines and advanced research. So industry is getting a lot of value here, for which they have money and are willing to pay. What about us and technology in general? Of course, participating in this, we co-invest, but we also get some revenues from licensing, from content, from ongoing support. But for us is to prove in a triangle format that 75% faster learning can be achieved, that 85% higher retention rates are evidenced, like we've seen in the many projects rolled out. That will benefit our users. We want to grow. We have currently globally around 136 million users. We'd like to grow that to 1 billion. We want to expand our corporates, and this is a very good way to do it. And of course, the universities. I think we have totally 4,000 academic institutions over the last 26 years that will now also grow. So this is a win for us also. Now let's look specifically now to grants opportunities. So there is a large grant for around $3.2 billion that is almost perfect for this triangle, right? We also have NSF grants, we have DOE grants, we have DOD grants. You have the multiplier effect because we can put $5 million from our side in private. This is a benefit for you universities because you don't have to chase that industrial money. We can come with it. We have 10 million federal, and we can put together with our partners in energy, in manufacturing, healthcare, real solutions. Okay. Now this reduces, of course, the risk for our partners and can accelerate scale. Finally, let's talk about the roadmap. So we are kicking off this now. We encourage you as an academic institution to engage with us in this triangle. We'll set up mini hubs to start with. We'll start, we think big, but start in a concrete location. We align the partner and facility preparation. We roll out pilot projects for the first cohort, and then we scale. And then we are very careful with measuring, identifying the needs, which we can outline so far, but increasing the measurable metrics, competency rates, what's the return investment for enterprise, how many job placements we've done, etc. I would like to see the American map glow golden, beautiful triangles, right? Network effects. Each triangle strengthens the model. We have already, as you know, US has a long tradition in US with, many academic institutions, or hundreds over the years, that we'll now invite. We don't have bandwidth for everyone, so if you are interested, I encourage you to contact us today. We always are engaged with the government, both local, on a local level, on a federal level. And of course, we would like to scale this and work with existing activities that are in some regions. And of course, we are also here to invest. So we are pledging to co-invest with you in these structures. So what's my call to action? To industry leaders, secure talent and reduce cost. The triangle can offer that. To universities, unlock new revenues and impact. The triangle offers that. To government, multiply your ongoing investment and outcomes. The triangle is offering that. And to partners of E.ON, not only E.ON, but we work with 36 different partners, we need to drive innovation at scale. Together, we can bridge the gap. We can transform the workforce, and we can lead the future. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm super excited to talk about America's clean energy future. Energy is perhaps the most important competitive advantage that not only that US needs to win in order to not only win the global competition about artificial intelligence, but also to pave a way to prosperity and a positive outcome. So here's the good news. We are undergoing the largest infrastructure transformation in a generation or 2 generations. We talk about a $2 trillion clean energy opportunity. So there is a 370 billion IRA fueling rapid energy, clean energy deployment. There's a 2 trillion market across wind, solar, storage, efficiency. And this is, if you look at it historically, the biggest transformations is the construction of the highways. And that requires a workforce that's new. And that is today what holds us back. That is what's the biggest constraint. So let's talk about some practical things. What's the crisis? We need 3.3 million new workers by 2030. We need 500,000 people in the wind technicians. We need 1.2 million in solar installers. We need 800,000 grid specialists. And that training can scale fast enough. Imagine that, put that as a contrast to the challenges that we face in community colleges. The need is the left hand, the right hand, and the demand, and the supply is on the other side. So the 3.3 million workers. Okay, so let's talk about what is it, why do we need this training, and what is it we can address? First of all, using simulation-based learning, that's what E.ON specialty is, immersive learning, extended reality, fueled by spatial artificial intelligence. We have done this for many years. We started simulation, I've been in simulation for 36 years. When I started, it was mainly aerospace, right? Aircrafts, emergency situations. Then we went to nuclear power plants and et cetera, et cetera. So safety challenges and high-risk environments, energy. You see a fatality rate that's 2.5 times higher than national average when it comes to energy activities. Solar panels, a lot of people die. In fact, more people die on solar panels than nuclear power plant accidents because falls, confined spaces, chemicals. And today, the way to do classroom training, I mean, the best way to train is still physical in the real environment, but it's very expensive, very risky. And classroom training doesn't cut it. So that's where this comes in. So mistakes cost lives. Then you have the knowledge at risk. Retirement. A lot of people in the energy sector are retired age. We see 40% of utility workers retiring in the next decade. And that requires a long time to fill up that gap. And we need a new method to fast track, to learn 4 times faster than they learned. And the mentorship model is too slow, and that's why you need something new. We also have a lot of regulation for good reasons, right? There's multiple agents. There's OSHA, there's NERC, there's FERC, there's PCA. And workers require overlapping certification. And if you look at compliance costs, these are escalating. It becomes a very big problem for academic institutions. So that's another challenge that we can address. So that's where we come in. We have this comprehensive spatial AI solution that integrates extended reality, simulation technology, and experiential learning with artificial intelligence to provide this immersive, adaptive workforce training. We create digital twins. That's one of our best things. We can take a phone, enter in any space, generate a digital twin, inject the knowledge in the digital twin without having to program or require any special knowledge. And we can do that for power plants, for solar fields, for wind farms, for smart grids. We also have 24/7 brainy avatars. Those pop into your environment and can remember, never forget anything, know you well, and can personalize and guide you, help you, and assist you. We have captured that expert knowledge in such a way that's available, accessible, and affordable. Now, let's talk about the training ecosystem in action. So, digital twins, immersion replica for training. Safety simulation, this is risk-free hazard environment where you can do practice one again and again without risking health or life. We have special programs for solar or for wind, how to install, how to maintain. We have grid modernization, how to handle your smart meter, and also cybersecurity. So this is all available. The ROI we've seen today has been tremendous, right? We talk about huge savings in training costs, 88%. We talk about much fewer, more than a third reduction in safety incidents. We talk about time to competency. So it's indisputable. I think nobody's questioning this value. The problem has been it hasn't been available, accessible, and affordable to do this type of simulation-based learning. That's what E.ON is introducing. Let's talk about implementation now in partnerships. So we talk about different stakeholders. We talk about the utilities. They need this for full-scale workforce adoption. We talk about trade unions. We have programs for apprenticeship integration. We talk about how we leverage the government's funding that are pushing really, really hard in this global competition for AI to upskill the energy, and that requires to leverage those billions of dollars that exist in funding. And we talk about also OEMs with authentic digital twins. Now, what's the call for action to you? It's simple. If you look at workforce readiness equals success in clean energy. If you are an early adopter, you become a market leader. You gain market penetration. If you want return investment, you get actually a very quick return investment, and we are willing to invest with you because we are confident on the outcome. So together, we can power America's future. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to talk today about Industry 4.0 workforce revolution. So US is undergoing a huge change. After decades of outsourcing of our manufacturing, we are now onshoring or reshoring this manufacturing. And it says here 100 billion, but reality is much, much bigger if you follow the news. We talk actually about trillions of dollars of reshoring. And what's the reason behind it? I think we learned a bitter lesson with COVID, right? What happens where we couldn't get access to fundamental things that we are used to because we are depending on other nations. Geopolitics does play in, but all that together is driving US manufacturing revival. And there's many federal incentives. You have the CHIPS, you have the infrastructure, you have IRA, you have defense investments. They all compound in this modernization. And that, as you know, we are building as never built before, new factories for semiconductors. There's new electric vehicle manufacturing, there's new pharma, there's defense activities and renewables. The problem we have while this infrastructure investment going well is the people, the workforce. And that will be the deciding factor of how we do this. And is it going to be a new type of workforce, not the one we outsourced 30 years ago? Now, here's the unfortunate reality. 77% of firms cannot find qualified Industry 4.0 workers. If you look at AI integrated roles, they are growing faster than the supply. If you look at skills needed, you talk about cobots, because you're going to work together with a robot. You're not going to do the work themselves. You talk about predictive maintenance. You talk about AI-driven quality. Now, the key here is to scale this rapidly and smartly, intelligently. Okay? So let's give you some example. Automation, robotics, right? So there's a big demand. There's this joke, and you see Chinese making fun of American that they put together Nike shoes. Forget about that. That's not the type of resources we will have. We talk about cobots' demand for human-robot collaboration. Their workers learn how to program, monitor, and troubleshoot those robots. Where training is done in task coordination, where you maybe supervise X amount of robots. It's a clean job. It's something that you can be proud of being engaged. And a lot of white-collar jobs will love such a job because it's well paid. And but you need to coordinate things like safety. You need to make sure that it is done in a proper way. And that's where Spatial AI enables this safe, hands-on collaboration and training. Quality control and precision manufacturing, this is very important. So when we talk about industries like aerospace, medical, semiconductor, quality is imperative, right? Lack of quality leads to disaster. Again, here AI-powered vision can help, and workers must learn how to work together with what we call an AI avatar to deliver that quality required. Predictive maintenance, there's a whole revolution there going from reactive to proactive, because we have millions and billions of sensors that are connected with AI. And the idea is, how do you interpret these IoTs, right? How do you act? How do you use the digital twins to simulate the equipment degradation? And our technology can help you with that. XR AI prepares technician for this predictive maintenance. Now let's go to cross-training, right? So we talk about flexible factory, multi-skilled workforce. So one day you do this, the next day you do that, right? You have to be responsive, and the demand will shift also quickly. And the workers must be able to integrate those different type of knowledge. And again, Spatial AI helps you to develop this, what we call multi-process competency. But we should never forget about safety. Safety is imperative. We are talking about $170 billion annually. These AI-enhanced factories that have a lot of automation have much more risk. I mean, cobots, chemicals, cyber, there's this risk new type of risk that we need to learn how to address. And if you use the traditional training, it will fail because it doesn't cover this multi-risk environment. That's again where Spatial AI can quickly and safely provide immersive regulatory training. And not just that you can fill the box or you can do the quizzes, but you actually know and prove by evidence, by doing, that you can do it. Now, once you implement it, what are the outcomes? What we've seen so far is tremendous. We've seen 70% reduction in training time. We've seen more than 45% quality improvement, 60% quick onboarding, right? And reduction in incidents in general. So we can't do this alone, so we need to partner. So our stakeholders here are OEMs for integrating in equipment makers, trade association because they provide the credibility and the networks. We need to work with state for workforce grants and incentives, and we also need to work with federal initiatives. These billions of dollars that are aligned funding for what exactly we are trying to achieve. So my message to you is, let's lead this Industry 4.0 revolution for United States, and of course we're implementing this globally also. And the window, if you want to be a leader and first mover, that first mover advantage window is closing now. You can't try to do it traditional training, you just will fall behind. And we highly recommend Spatial AI and seize this opportunity. So on that note, Thank you so much. If you want to learn more, just contact me, Dan at Eon Reality, or my team. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can reach out there, Dan Lejaskar. Looking forward to hear from you. Thank you. Today we're going to talk about how we can electrify America's mobility and electric vehicle revolution. It's a huge opportunity. We talk about a 7.5 billion electric vehicle opportunities. There is a lot of federal investment to drive charging station nationwide, more than 500,000. There's additionally 12 billion for battery manufacturing tax credits. There's a 3.5 billion domestic battery incentive fueling. So there is also, so the funding is there. The problem we see now is workforce readiness. So the critical shortage is around 1.8 million. That's the magical number. We need 1.8 million additional workers by 2030. And this we need in manufacturing, in charging station, in service, high voltage, safety, name it, more or less all of those. So the current capacity covers only 30% of the demand. So we are short 70%. And if you look traditionally how we try to do it, it doesn't work. So we need something new. And guess what? I think we have the solution. But let's go a little bit more in details first. High voltage safety, what does it mean? This is life and death, right? Because you have some more than 1,000 volts in EV systems, and the risk is shock, arc flash, you get battery fires, you have toxic gases. It's not good. And there's very clear OSHA and NFPA 70AE requirements that requires that specialized training. And traditional safety instruction simply not sufficient. You have battery technology and how to handle batteries. You have lithium-ion systems, BMS, thermal management. You have hazards like if you have a thermal runaway or chemical, or you have toxic gas. You need to have specialized handling, tire suppression, safety procedure. So there's a lot of technology here that you need to train in order to be able to be efficiently handling this. What about the charging infrastructure? There you have the installation complexity. You have AC, you have DC, you have fast charging, you have V2G, you have wireless systems. You must have advanced electrical networking and safety skills. You can't otherwise qualify for that. And you must master this utility coordination. You also must master cybersecurity. So again, here's a huge workforce shortage that slows down this station rollouts. And let's go to the autonomous EV integration, right? Because you converge electrification with automation, and that adds the complexity. Not only do we have electric vehicles, but they need to drive themselves. And that adds things like sensors, computing, cybersecurity, somebody doesn't hijack the vehicle. And again, there's very few training programs that covers this overlap between electrification and automation. So here's where we come in. Our EV training ecosystem covers battery, charging, and safety. It's a nice triangle. We can take care of high voltage hazard simulations. We can do battery technology digital twins, so you can compare. We can do charging infrastructure installation maintenance, simulation, and actually hands-on practice on location when you need it, as you need it. And we also have AI-powered adaptive learning and diagnostics. Now, of course, we are partnering for scale. So we are reaching out now to the big OEMs. We've been working with Ford in the past and GM. Those are all customers over the last 26 years. We also are working now, engaging with Tesla, with Rivian, with Lucid. We're looking at charger operators like ChargePoint, EVgo, Electrify America. We are looking at technical colleges. We have, as you know, hundreds of them already, and trade schools for pipelines. And of course, we are working with representatives for federal and state workforce development funding. So all the stakeholders are engaged. Now, if you are, for example, a technical college and you want to accelerate the offering here, we have the solution. So my call to action to you is simple. Let's power America's EV future together. What that means is that workforce readiness means that you're competitive on a national scale. If you're a college and you have that workforce readiness or a stakeholder. We know for a fact, and I can share more evidence with you, that spatial artificial intelligence, extended reality, and simulation is proven, it's scalable, and it's ready now. The first movers capture market and get the big pie, slice of the pie. So my humble recommendation is act today to electrify the workforce and to benefit your organization. Thank you so much. You can contact me. My name, as you know, is Dan Lejoskar. I'm chairman with E.ON Reality, and I look forward to have a contact with you. You can also email me at dan@eonreality.com or look me up in LinkedIn. Okay, so aerospace and defense. This happens to be my baby. I've been working in aerospace that's where I started my career 36 years ago, whether it's defense for Swedish aerospace, rockets. I used to be program manager for Ariane, and recently I'm quite involved in drones and other activity. So let's talk about the challenges here. The readiness crisis in aerospace and defense. So there's overlapping challenges that we see. One is the retiring workforce that drains the expertise. We also see the increasing complexity between the 5th and 6th generator fighters and the drones now that changes basically everything. Hypersonics, space assets. The biggest problem we have is downtime from air on ground that costs every day millions of dollars. So you're going to hear air on ground, aircraft on ground. That's a challenge that we need to address. There's also very limited margins for error. I would say zero margin for error. It's one of the safest preoccupation of aerospace to not have issues. So, okay, what do we need to do? The strategic imperatives are simple. We need there's a great power competition that requires globally superiority. So we need to be the best if you look at aerospace, especially in defense. We need to have a workforce readiness is now vital as hardware superiority, right? By the way, on the civil side, you have Boeing and you have Airbus. Airbus, as you know, has risen lately because of many challenges Boeing is facing here in the US. Without transformation, we have operational overmatch and then we have risks. So let's start one by one. We'll start with MRO, maintenance, repair, operation. So if you look at the modern assets, you have millions of components, whether it's Pratt & Whitney, whether it's, Rolls-Royce, or in our case, General Electric. And you have stealth materials, you have advanced avionics, you have a single error. One error can trigger complete catastrophic outcomes. So here we need to reduce AOG, but we need to execute well also. So the benefits to industry is we can verify competency at 60 to 70% cost by using simulation. As you know, aerospace is used with simulation, but it's mainly used today for pilots. Much less when you talk about MRO, much less when you talk about some of the aspects I'm not going to cover today. We also seen 50 to 65% faster time to competency, reducing downtime and errors. We've also seen that we can quicker achieve compliance-ready documentation that's required for OSHA, FDI, DOT, etc. And we also achieved access to ongoing talent pipelines and advanced research. So that's kind of some of the benefits. Now, we talked about zero fail missions, right? It's not possible I would say it's impossible to safely replicate catastrophic scenario in reality. That's why we have simulators, right? That's why people are paying $50 million for a simulator. With E.ON, you can, for a fraction of the cost, do part-task simulations on a small device like even a phone that can give you a safe rehearsal of engine failures, avionics blackouts, even combat damage. So the idea is to have that muscle built in. So when the proverbial issue happens or the S hits the fan, as they say, you have muscle memory. You react. You don't have to think. The other thing is to navigate the compliance and certification. FAA, DOD, ITAR. You need to follow verifiable training compliance. And legacy records are insufficient. We need to do AI-driven immutable audit trails. That's part of what the simulation is providing here. And of course, we need to be mission ready. We have digital twins for aircraft, for naval, for space platform, for drones. We have XR simulator for pilots. We have something we call the memory vault that capture the knowledge that never forgets anything. And we have also the audit trail. So if you think about it from an implementation standpoint, you have phase one is to reach MRO excellence and knowledge, capture the knowledge. Phase two, operator training and expansion supply chain. And then immediate ROI from all these benefits, especially downtime reduction, long-term resilience from workforce transformation. So those are the phases that will give us the benefits. An example of that, if you just reduce A or G with 20%, that can save literally millions. If you can reduce training to time to proficiency from 18 months to 6 months, that's something we've seen. We can also help to prevent errors, that saves assets, lives, and also capture expertise before that becomes an enduring strategic advantage. So, what's my call to action to you? Keep it simple. There is a readiness crisis and it's urgent, and we can't continue with status quo. That's not sustainable. So what we like to offer you is a proven, scalable, high ROI solution using spatial artificial intelligence that will lead to reduction in downtime, long-term resilience from workforce transformation. And I can give you many examples if we engage. Some of this will have to be under confidentiality and restricted information. But so I'm not at liberty to share this information publicly. But for most of you, even using the public information, it's very evident what the benefits are. So with that said, thank you so much. Looking forward to engage. My email is dan@aeonreality. I look forward to engage with you and with my team. And you can also look me up on LinkedIn, etc. Thank you. Yes, hello. Today we're going to talk about how spatial artificial intelligence training can help the next generation of healthcare. I'm very excited. This is one of the areas that are closest to my heart. So let's go. Now we have a triple challenge in healthcare today. One is to improve the outcome for the patients with respect to reducing the cost. The other one is the experience, the patient experience that the patient has when he comes in contact with a healthcare provider, to enhance that experience in a system that today is high pressure, right, to deliver. And the third one is how to elevate the competency with the workforce, which is the critical variable in solving this equation. So patient outcomes, patient experience, and workforce competency. So let's see how we can address them. So first start with the clinical skills crisis. It used to be when I started with healthcare more than 25 years ago, see one, do one, teach one. That's unfortunately not longer enough. You have so many new things. You have robotic surgery, you have complex procedures, you have demand for repeatable risk-free practice, right? You have med tech that has now penetrated the system, and this innovation widens the gap between the technology and the clinical skills. So you need to find a solution that addresses this challenge. Then you have the medical devices. That training is today a bottleneck. There's thousands of clinicians that need training for every new device. They need on-site, they need travel. Today there's on-site, there's travel-intensive methods, and that all takes time, costs money, and delay adoption. Hospitals in general struggle to fully leverage the new technology because they simply don't have the competence among their workers. So the third one is really close to my heart, is the patient communication deficit. This empathy, and we have a solution, I'll come back to that, which we call Aeon Soft Skills and Role Play, that's now deployed. But communication and empathy is important and will become paramount, very important very shortly because of AI taking bigger steps, that human contact. Today we have sometimes poor bedside communication that reduces the compliance and satisfaction. We have hospitals with higher scores that gain more reimbursement than others. So this is a very important component. And we need to operate and have training in a zero risk environment. We can do, it's very difficult to do surgery and train on a patient that may have drastic consequence. So virtual surgery simulators for mastering complex solution. The ability to repeat and deliberately practice until you acquire those skills, whether it's for arthroscopy in the shoulder or what have you. You need performance assessed with objective data driven, so we really know that you have the required skills before you go to a live patient. Now, digital twins, we're using that throughout our system of medical devices. So we have the ability to generate in minutes, just by using a phone, on-demand training accessible anytime, anywhere, whether it's a ventilator or any machine. All we need to do is to feed in the manuals, the books, the text to our 36 AI avatars and combine that with a video of the device capturing that, which generates the digital twin. So that allows us to do scalable learning across hospital, across global teams, and speeds up the adoption. Now, this AI-driven patient encounter, so you have training using Eon soft skills, the role play, so you can design, for example, a patient that has, let's say, some symptom, or that the doctor needs to tease out by asking the right questions and diagnose him. And this communication is totally done with virtual humans, right? We can also get feedback on the doctor's tone, empathy, clarity, or for the nurse that interacts with a, let's say, dementia patient. How does she handle when the patient gets agitated? What do they do right? What did they do wrong? What should they have done instead? This builds the communication skills for diagnosis and care delivery. Audit-proof compliance. Compliance and certification is key. We have the ability to capture every move you make, every step you take. And this has to be done in such a way that it meets the Joint Commission and specialty boards. And the whole idea is to reduce the administration burden and the risk management, and to use this spatial AI and simulation-based technology to achieve that. Now, what's the benefits? So if you concretely, what do we achieve by implementing spatial AI? Let me give you a few. One is fewer medical errors. So that's evident, life saved. Faster device adoption that accelerates revenue. You spend lots of money for expensive MRI devices, etc. But if you don't have the personnel to train to properly use it, that results in losses and slow ROI. Higher patient satisfaction is one of my key areas, as I said earlier, and that doesn't only lead to larger reimbursement, but overall satisfaction with your patients, which is paramount. And of course, virtual training, less cadavers, less travel, less equipment cost. So what's my call to action to you? It's simple. A healthier future. How do we achieve that? Instead of just using traditional models that are not sustainable in this complex health era, start using our clinical excellence platform that's proven, scalable, and transformative. If you want to learn more about that, we'd like to engage with you. You can reach out to me, dan@eonreality.com. You can also reach out to my LinkedIn, and we'll be getting in touch. Thank you so much, and see you soon. Yes, so today we're going to talk about modern construction infrastructure workforce here in the United States and beyond. US is in a very unique position. We are in a $1 trillion opportunity that's now invested in the United States across the board in renewal of our infrastructure. I'm not only talking about roads, bridges, ports, grids that are long overdue to get a reconstruction or renewal. I'm also talking about the large inshoring of factories and production that is brought in by the new policy. And it's literally $1 trillion we're talking about. Now, the problem with this opportunity is threatened by the fact that our workforce safety and efficiency, in that area there's a growing crisis. So although we have this fantastic opportunity, we don't have the necessary workforce that can meet this challenge. So let me be very specific. We face a three-front crisis. Number one, labor shortage. Today there are far too few skilled workers for this huge demand. Number two, safety. The construction that is ongoing, and especially the new construction methods, are implicitly risky and can be very dangerous unless you know how to act with the increasing automation, etc. And also the rework crisis. Errors can consume 10% of the cost. So these are some of the critical issues. I would like to discuss a little bit about the zero incident imperative. So what do we mean by that? There is something called the Fatal Four. Just a second. Yes. So you have falls, struck by, electrocutions, and entrapments. Those are the traditional safety training. And if you use just methods other than doing in real life, which is really a risky way to train, that's not enough. So you need for this simulation-based learning and training to achieve it. The other thing is cost of rework. So that's the profit killer, right? You can lose billions by having rework because you have errors that are hidden. You don't discover them until late in construction. And catching them early gives you huge cost. That's when overlaying information, augmented reality, the ability to understand things in a spatial AI is crucial for the implementation. And then we talk about the skills cliff. It's literally a skills cliff. 5 workers retiring for every one entering the trades. That's not sustainable, as you may imagine. So there is a vacuum that threatens all this timeline. So training must accelerate and must happen faster. We need to teach people 4 times faster and be safe at the same time. And let's talk about heavy equipment, for example. So these cranes, excavator, are vastly expensive, very expensive. We talk about $25 million. And you can, if you add the fuel, wear, risk, it makes scaling of this training almost impossible. So you need to use simulation and simulators to achieve that. And they reduce the cost and they build safe operator competency. And with E.ON, we can also do it at a much cheaper cost than, for example, aircraft simulators. And then you have the whole digital job site ecosystem. You have the immersive safety simulators to reduce incidents. You have the AR-assisted QA preventive work that gives you the guidance. You can hold your device and see what you need to do, how it's going to look. You can actually see the future building before it's there, or the component. You have the virtual equipment training that scales operator readiness. And of course, you have the digital work instructors. You have with you this avatar that is in the field and shows you, tells you, guides you what to do when you are not certain. So the idea is to implement these programs in phases. We have safety training, equipment operator training first. You have the AR quality control leadership development second. And then you get short, mid, and long-term ROI with a long-term workforce resilience. So if we talk ROI, so you can see here 20% fewer incidents by using this. You get augmented reality rework prevention that boosts millions in margins. You have the simulator training that saves fuel, maintenance, and also cost and time of using the physical equipment. And you have faster project schedules, which means huge money, right? That's where the profit is, to reduce the financing burden. So my call to action to you is simple. Building the future safely. Acknowledge that traditional training methods alone are not sufficient. They are unsafe, they are costly, they are simply not sustainable. While our digital job site delivers scalable, proven workforce solution. And industry leaders must act now to secure this. And we offer you that. And to stretch out my hand here to you, we are willing to co-invest in the first pilot together to absorb the risk and show you the benefits. Contact me today. My email is dan@eonreality.com. You can also reach me on LinkedIn. Looking forward to build America together. Thank you. So today we're going to talk about resilient and efficient maritime workforce. The global lifeline of trade. Trade has been in the news because of tariffs and other things. But I'm not sure everybody is aware. You are aware because you're in this business that the vast majority of trade moves by sea, right? The maritime sector is the backbone of the global economy, right? Now, there's a lot of changes, and these changes, tariffs and other costs, it also require improvement in training, learning, and resilience within and work efficiency within the sector. And that shapes the whole supply chain resilience. Now, let's talk about the bottleneck crisis. What are the facts? Today we have port congestion that costs literally millions every day. We saw that also during accumulation of COVID-19, what happened. High consequence safety risk demand zero tolerance, right? We can't do, the consequences are very drastic. And we have a workforce shortage because a lot of the marine veterans are retiring. So what's the imperative here? The throughput is the key, right? Think about it as every hour of a vessel delay leads to financial losses, major financial losses. Operator proficiency determines the port velocity. So how good are they to operate? That gives you the speed. The training quality gives you also the key to supply chain. So well-trained people can operate proficiently, which gives you less delays, right? So there's other aspect is safety, right? There is that saying about a burning platform, right? If there's a burning platform, you get everybody with a certain level of urgency, because once that fire spreads, it's too late, right? So every hour a vessel, if you look at a vessel, it's the world's most hazardous workplace, right? We see many catastrophic events. You can lose lives, you can lose cargo, you can have environmental disaster. And there's many problems. You can have fires, flooding, and you may have to train on all this immersively. That's what E.ON is good at. It used to be very expensive to conduct these simulators. Now it's not. The other thing is the ship itself is very complex. Modern vessels. You have engine rooms with that are almost like power plants, right? You have bridges with the most advanced digital Star Trek-like command centers. You have, on top of that, the skills gap between what technology can provide and what the workforce is trained for. And that gap needs to be addressed. And then you have also, let's say, ethnicity demographic issue, because you have multicultural workforce with very uneven standard. You can have some crew members, let's say, from Philippines, someone from Africa, Middle East, United States, Europe, and they have different training standards, different background. You also have the retiring officers that create the knowledge vacuum. So that creates a crew challenge. And then we have what we call the digital port and vessel ecosystem. So what we are doing is we can create a digital twin for the vessels as well as for the digital port. And this virtual port simulation can be for cranes, can be for trucks, can be for cargo. And we power that with a memory vault, so all the knowledge that we pour in or you pour into this will be captured with the veteran expertise as they retire. And we can share these immersive emergency drills for the entire crew, from a mobile device on 31 devices to a tablet, to a phone, to a headset, to air glasses, or whatever you have. So let's talk about implementation here. So we see it in three phases. First, phase one, port equipment operator training and emergency drills. That's very evident. Phase two, engineering navigation simulation. And this will give us a short and long-term fast throughput. Now, what's the benefits? If you can operate the port faster, you get millions saved. If you can enhance safety, you can prevent billion-dollar incidents and issues. If you have less equipment damage, you lower your cost for repair and maintenance. And if you reduce the training cost, which overall gives you a benefit and more satisfied crew. So my call for action to you is as follows. Secure global supply chains, right? We want faster port operation, which is the lifeline. Realization that status quo with bottlenecks, accidents, and efficiency is not acceptable. And then start adopting a spatial AI-focused, resilient, and efficient way of addressing these issues. So, on that note, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. You can contact us at, contact me, for example, at dan@eonreality.com. Go to our website today, or simply reach out to me on LinkedIn. Thank you. Yes, today we're going to talk about something that preoccupies many, not only Americans, but people in this very interesting times that we're living. And we're going to address the America's First Responder challenge and training. So America's first responders are at a crossroad. You have a dual crisis. On one side, you have demand for greater accountability, and on the other side, the threats are becoming more complex, more variant. Now, the agencies today are under very high public scrutiny while they face this unprecedented increased challenges. So all that requires a better trained workforce. That's essential not only for resilience but also for trust. Now, today we are facing a huge training gap. The classroom training can replicate the crisis that these workers face in reality. Role play is predictable but lacks the realism. So what you need is large-scale drills are expensive and very rare. You can't afford them. So there's a dangerous gap between the training and the performance under pressure. And that's why there's a need for this type of simulation-based environment that are cost-efficient. Give you an example, the escalation imperative. E.ON has a product called E.ON Soft Skills that you can put an avatar and you can program him to be anything. We can program his reaction, etc. And you have to first learn how to interact with him. Then you have to train. You actually have to go in a real scenario exchange. And then you'll be evaluated. Everything you said, what you said right, what you said wrong, what you should have said instead. So there, for example, you can use this for de-escalation techniques, right? How to use communication skills directly to reduce use of force. Now, the traditional training doesn't really have this emotional authenticity. So you need this scalable, objective, realistic crisis addressing. In US, we have another challenge. This is the multi-agency chaos, right? You have major crises demand a very good coordination. We've seen many examples. I'm not going to go into that. You also see the news as I do. But where you need police, fire, and EMS often that have siloed systems to work together. And it's almost impossible to practice this without immersive simulation. That's what we add to this. So we need that shared digital command center. Now, I learned the hard way when I was my military myself and also in aerospace. I'm 36 years in that business, that we perform very differently under normal situation versus stress. So crisis, stress degrades a lot of things. Cognition, you like forgetting things, motor skills, etc. So if you learn things by a book or if you learn things by watching a video, the ability to implement what you learned is very limited compared with if you're on simulator and you have 400 hours of emergency training, how to land safely in aircraft, where you build the muscle memory. So you don't actually have to think. You have done it so many times, so you just react. And that's what I mean about solution for performing under stress, right? So knowing the steps and performing flawlessly, those are two different things. And again, simulators that we provide are one of the few ways to do it. Now, today we are providing training, but unfortunately it's inadequate. And that results in huge costs, right? You have losses from use of force that cost cities literally millions. You have poorly managed crises that erode community trust. You have fuel burnout, PTSD. You have high turnover. You have burnout of individuals because they are not properly prepared to face that issue, right? And that leads to turnover. And you can see even sometimes police dies of a heart attack, although they are not physically damaged because they simply were not properly trained to act in that extreme situation. So the public safety training system is AI powered, the one we offer. It provides de-escalation simulators. It enables you to do virtual incident command from multiple agencies. It provides you with a stress-based procedural tactical simulator for acting. And all that is captured into a verifiable data-driven accountability platform. So it's a really soup to nuts solution. We really encourage you to try it out and to see how it works. So my concrete suggestion for implementation is do it in two stages. First, focus on crisis intervention, multi-agency incident command. Step 2, stress-based proficiency and leadership training. Those are the 2 steps. Okay. ROI, what have we seen? We've seen fewer use of force cases, saves million. We've seen better emergency coordination that saves lives. Most important, we've seen stronger training that reduces the injury and the turnover cost. So it's indisputable that simulation, my final message, is now available, accessible, and affordable, works on any device almost, and it's not what it was 36 years ago when most people think $50 million simulators. Okay, so my call to action to you is, let's prepare together for the unpredictable, right? Status quo is unacceptable. We can't afford to risk the lives, finances, and trust. We have a solution that works today that delivers scalable, verifiable, and transformative solution. And I encourage all leaders to act now. I'm also stretching my hand to you by co-investing together with you in the first pilot to demonstrate the value and to bring that value to the communities that need it so much. On that note, thank you so much. You can reach me by LinkedIn. You can go to our website, www.eonreality.com, or you can simply also send me an email, dan@eonreality.com. Thank you. Okay, mining. So we're going to talk about how we can train people for safer and more productive mining workforce. There is a critical mandate in US and across the world around minerals, because the US competitiveness now in tech and clean energy is dependent on a secure mineral supply. And we've been seeing the consequences during COVID-19 and also the recent geopolitical changes, that what happens if there is a conflict, then we can supply those critical minerals. So domestic mining expansion becomes now a national security priority. Now, to do that, we don't have today fully the skilled, safe workforce, which is essential to meet this new responsibility. So that's what this presentation addresses, how we can address them. But first of all, let's look at what are the imperatives. One of them is zero harm, right? If you look at all industries, mining is perhaps one of the most hazardous industries. I remember this was when we started the company back in almost 20 plus years in Kentucky, where miners died during an accident because they didn't know how to use the protective gear. And we did a training application that really literally helped to save lives by applying it. So we are committed to zero harm, and this is the cultural cornerstone of the whole mining industry. Now, we know that traditional methods cannot fully prepare workers for this extreme risk, because a lot of the risk you can't really simulate, right? It's only, you can simulate them in a simulator, but you can't do it in real life because obviously the consequences are drastic. The other thing is cost, right? Let's be practical. A whole truck is $5 million each. Excavators, $20 million. We talk about huge real-world training that consumes fuels, wears machines, and carries high risk. Simulators can cut the cost immensely. Even if it's a part-test simulator, we have a huge saving here. The other one I call the tyranny of distance. What do I mean by that? You have remote mine locations that have a lot of massive training logistics. So we've been working with one oil and gas supplier in Middle East back in the day, one of our customers, Aramco. Their training is very separate from the facilities, right? So flying in experts or sending recruits out is very expensive and very inconsistent. So digital mine training provides overcome these geographical barriers, right? The other one is the experience gap. We see that a lot of the veteran miners are now retiring, and they take all that knowledge with them. So now you can train certain things in manuals like instinct, intuition, things that are not well captured. Now that's where we are introducing what I call AI-powered memory that captures and preserves this generational expertise. So if you look at the digital mining ecosystem, you have virtual heavy equipment and vehicle simulator. You have immersive safety drills for hazard recognition. You have digital twin for maintenance and training. And you have AI-powered process optimization modules. All that is available in our digital mine ecosystem. So let's talk about concrete things: ROI, safety, and efficiency. So the idea is zero harm. I talked about that. Simulator training and beta maintenance. So the Sologram culture reduces this incidents, fatalities, and insurance cost. Simulator training slashes this. Okay. So now, how do we implement this? My humble suggestion: start with safety response drill first. Add also heavy equipment simulators because you save a lot of money there. Next step, enter into maintenance technician upskilling and leadership training. Okay, so the idea is to accelerate the workforce competency, to train that deliver directly to the remote sites, to faster onboard hires as the young population comes in, and also to encourage them to experience one day in mining, which is different what they expect. It's much better. And then also to standardize high quality training across these global operations. So my call of action to you is to power this future of America. Status quo, unsafe, costly, unsustainable. Fast onboarding our local hires and standardized high quality simulation based training, right? We encourage you as a mining leader to act now. There's also a lot of funding we can tap into, grants to help this out. The government is really pushing for this. So I would like to invite you to this joint journey together. My name is Dan Lejaskar. You have my email. It's dan@eonreality.com. You can also reach me on the LinkedIn, or you can go through our website, www.eonreality.com. Thank you. This training is very exciting because data centers are fueling the man-machine interaction and this amazing road to artificial general intelligence, artificial superintelligence. And the backbone of the digital economy, every transaction, every app, every stream relies on these data centers. And the success that we have is banking on absolute uptime and absolute reliability. So this is not that it's optional to be perfect, it's the baseline. We need to start there. And as you can see, that we are building an enormous amount of data centers. We're looking at one data center is almost the size of Manhattan, right? So in the very near future, these billions and hundreds of billions that are spent will occupy a big part of our real estate with data center. So in this context, human errors are unacceptable. One mistake can cost millions per minute, right? You have let's say patch cables or PDU configuration or security lapses that can have, irreversible catastrophic effects. So the biggest challenge we face with these data centers is the human risk. And there's also a very complex things because you have a number of problems you need to solve. You saw recently with Elon Musk and he's building his center. He didn't have enough power, so he had to bring in generators. Cooling, he didn't have enough cooling, so he had to bring in devices. Networking, all that needs to happen at massive scale, right? And AI-driven compute density magnifies this interdependency. So what we need is also technicians that need to understand this hybrid requirements across all the systems. So I normally talk about the tyranny of nines, which is 99999 uptime, only 5 minutes downtime per year. That's maximum what you can afford with a system like this. And because of this AI-driven compute density, for every minor outage, it's a issue, right? So technicians need to have the knowledge to act very, very fast. And then I can't stress enough the security aspect. I talk about fortress level security, right? This has to be the most secure facility on earth because breaching this can have national security consequences. Talk about data that's sensitive. So it's very important, as important as uptime is to have a critical security protocols. So the smart hands talent shortage. So we need this new type of technicians, right? Traditional shadowing, that's the way you learn today. It's slow, inconsistent, risky. You need something that's scalable, that's safe, and that's standardized. SSS, scalable, safe, standardized workforce onboarding. That's what's missing today. And now, if we eliminate the human error, we can save millions. We have faster deployment, we have stronger compliance, we can cut onboarding from months to 2 weeks, right? And that's what this digital data center ecosystem that we provide can help. We have a digital twin we can create a digital twin of the entire facility. We can do augmented reality assisted procedure that actually can guide you to flawless execution step by step. If this happens, what do you do? We have immersive drills for training or breaches or security issues. We have AI-powered compliance tracking. Every move you make, every step you take is tracked. So there's a full-fledged ecosystem here. So my call to action to you is simple. We want a digital economy that has a flawless data and center operation, right? That's what we want to achieve. And our platform will help to eliminate these human errors and risks. And we invite you all as leaders in this industry I know we want to ensure resilience and reliability, to join us. We are willing to co-invest in this effort to set up your digital twin and to work together for achieving this very bold goal and bring our nation to artificial superintelligence and for the betterment of US and the world. Thank you so much. If you want to reach me, Dan at Eon Reality. You can reach me on LinkedIn. You can go to our website, www.eonreality.com. eonreality.com. Thank you so much.